I'm glad to have the opportunity to talk to you a little bit about the controversy with the recent document from Rome, and really to put that in the context of Our Lady, Undoer of Knots. You see the image just off my shoulder of that beautiful image of Our Lady untying the knots of human strife and sin and all that we deal with. I would imagine most of us can relate to that knotted up feeling. In a beautiful image that has come to the forefront in recent years, this image of Our Lady, Undoer of Knots. And she is, as always, we can turn to Our Lady when we're troubled, when we're children that are lost or concerned. We turn to Our Lady. The Memorare is one of my favorite prayers. Remember, O gracious Virgin Mary. And she does remember. Really, we're reminding ourselves of what the Blessed Virgin Mary is constantly pondering in her wonderful role as Queen of the Church, as Mother of our lives, as Mother of Priests. There's so many titles for the Blessed Virgin Mary. But especially with what we're seeing from the Vatican and some of the concerns, without going so deeply into that, really, I would encourage, if you're concerned about that, and I know many people are, to just turn to Our Lady and to pray the Rosary, especially asking Our Lady to untie the knots of confusion and of obscurity and all the things that are going on. Because Our Lady reminds us that we are God's beloved children. That's one of her main roles. And she says that in many of her apparitions. She says, children, be who you're called to be. Turn from sin, live virtue. As a loving mother, Mary repeats herself, and it's very clear. But that clarity, sometimes I'll speak for myself, we tend to kind of knot up because we're saying, we don't want to face the challenge. We don't want to really see, it's so clear. And so we get all knotted up with confusion and obfuscation, and it's all just, it becomes this maelstrom of, confusion that people just kind of walk away from too often. And I think Our Lady can remind us, children, take a breath, calm down, know that the Lord is Lord of clarity and truth and precious light and grace. God is not about chaos. He's not about confusion. He brings His Son, light from light, to give us clarity for who we are, created in His image and likeness, and what our life is about. And so Our Lady, our Blessed Mother, the Immaculate Virgin Mary, is always untying that confusion, clearing the way, opening up, and especially in this present context with who can be blessed. All of us can be blessed. And the greatest blessing is, as Our Lady calls us, to turn from sin, to repent of our sin, and to grow in grace. That's the greatest blessing of all. Blessing always comes from God, whether in a liturgical setting or just a parent giving their child a blessing as they go off to school, which I know many families have that beautiful tradition in some different cultures. Blessing the children is just part of what mothers and fathers do, and it's beautiful. But always remembering, we don't bless anything. God is the source of that blessing. We're all petitioning, we're all asking that blessing. And an authentic asking of blessing is always aware that we need to grow away from sin and darkness and chaos and all that is evil, and grow deeper in light and grace and joy and hope. And that is what the Blessed Virgin Mary represents for us. She's always pleading with us to use the free will that God has given us to make our choices, to pray for the lost souls, to pray for those in need, to have compassion toward all, but to remember that real compassion always embraces the truth, always turns from sin, doesn't try to gloss over a sinful state of life, whatever it is, but it calls us away from sin into grace. And those are the ways that the Blessed Virgin Mary is untying the knots of our society, of our church, of our own lives, of our own families. So I encourage all of us to very specifically and especially turn to the Blessed Virgin Mary. If you read another article or see another example of confusion and concern, just say, I'm going to pray a rosary and ask Our Lady, untie of knots, to intervene, to intercede for us, to bring us closer to the Sacred Heart of her Son.